So when you're building an application with microservices, you're building a distributed system. So that means that you have to tackle various inter-process communication related issues. In this segment, I'm going to give you an overview of the kinds of issues that you need to address. So there's a bunch of different issues. So the first is how do clients of the system, so applications that are on the outside of the system, interact with the application. Before, the application was a monolith. You could effectively think of it as a single thing that exposed, say, a bunch of HTTP endpoints. Now, the system is comprised of tens or hundreds of services. So what exactly does a client of the system communicate with? And you can see that there's options, but that one approach stands out, and I'm going to talk about that in a later segment. And then, within the system, there's just the issue of, well, services need to communicate with one another. How do they do that? What kinds of mechanisms do they use? How do they find out the network locations of one another? So there's quite a few patterns that I'm going to discuss. There's the API gateway pattern that says that you should have a service that acts as a single entry point into the system. Clients talk to it, and it forwards requests on to the microservices that make up the application. There are patterns around communication styles. Do you use asynchronous messaging, or do you use a synchronous remote procedure invocation style approach? And then there are various patterns to do with discovery. In a modern microservice architecture, the network locations of the services are not fixed. You can't just have a configuration file that lists the IP addresses and the ports of the various services. You actually have to implement what's known as a service discovery mechanism. And there's various different parts to that, and there's various different patterns that you can use. So that's a brief overview of the issues that you have to address, and then the various patterns that can solve those issues. And in the following segments, I'm going to step through these various patterns.